regulars and welcome new listeners to the Reese on the Regular podcast. I am so excited to finally be back recording another episode. I feel like it's been forever. Life has been really busy with school. I actually just drove home from college today to film this episode, and so I'm really excited to just fill you guys in, catch you up on life. For anyone who doesn't know, I'm currently a junior at UMass Amherst, and this year has been awesome. But I will say time is flying. It's kind of crazy to think that I'm already a junior and scary. But just some updates. I am living off campus for the first time ever. I was always in the dorms, and that was fun while it lasted. But being in a house has been such a game changer. Just having more than one room to walk into, having that freedom has been amazing. I've also had my car on campus, which has been just so nice to have, not feeling stuck on campus all the time, stuck in the dorms. Just being in a house of girls is really fun. I've also been going to the gym off campus, and just getting off campus a little bit has been nice, but also being able to just head over there, get some studying done and see friends and go to class, of course. Some other updates: classes have definitely been much harder this semester, I will say. I am a finance major, and classes have been just picking it up a little bit for junior year, which was kind of expected. I've also been super jam-packed with study abroad preparations. I am heading to Florence in the spring, which I'm so excited about. Like, I am counting down the days and they're coming by really fast. Prepping everything for that has been crazy. It's really just been a crazy journey already, and I can't believe it's October. Fall is my favorite season, birthday season, so I'm probably biased, but it's been awesome on campus, and I just feel like Amherst is the perfect place to be for the fall. That is just a little update to catch everyone up, but I want to backtrack to freshman year of college, because today I'm going to be talking about college and some tips and tricks and advice and everything more on how to survive and thrive through college, because these are 4 core years of your life and you really want to make the most of it. So I asked you guys to ask me some questions on my Instagram, and I picked out my favorite 10 that I want to talk about with everyone today. Question number 1 was, why did you choose UMass Amherst? And to be completely honest, I used to tell myself that was the last school I was going to go to. A lot of people know UMass Amherst as the school that everyone from high school goes to, and I wanted to do something different. I also really thought I wanted to go far when I was looking into schools before. Ultimately, COVID happened, and I wasn't able to visit anywhere far, so kind of limited me to looking close by. But I am thankful for that, because I started to consider UMass Amherst. It was one of the only schools that I was able to go and tour in person, which I think was meant to be. When I went to go and tour it, it just changed everything for me. I fell in love with it right away. Campus was just so beautiful that day, and everyone was just having so much fun. The person who gave us the tour was awesome. I just knew it was the school for me. Something I also really loved about UMass was the business school. So once I got my acceptance letter and was accepted into Eisenberg, that was like the final deciding factor for me. That was why I ultimately chose UMass Amherst. Since I've been at UMass, I've still been just pleasantly surprised by how much I love the school, and I'm just so happy I chose it, because it really has everything, whether that be clubs, friends and people, classes. It has everything there. It's such a big school, which I personally like. I know a lot of people do prefer a smaller school, but I loved the idea of a bigger school. For anyone who knows UMass Amherst, that is the only thing in Amherst. It's like its own city, and then it's just farmland and cows and random things outside of UMass. So I really liked that. I felt like I was in my own city, but at the same time, you know, I was pretty close to home and am pretty close to home. So it's really easy for me to go home if need be, but also feel a good distance from home. It's a really fun campus. I love it, and I've just found that it has everything for me. The second question was, what does a typical day in college look like for you? And I will say every day is definitely different and busy and crazy for me. I am the type of person that likes to overload my plate with things, but on a typical day, there are a few core things that I am always getting done. Since having a house, I'm always making breakfast. I feel like even in the dorms, I was still always making breakfast, because that's like my signature meal, and always trying to get to the gym, be active, or even just take a walk. I go to classes. For me, classes is about 2 to 3 every single day. So I have a pretty consistent schedule, and I've really liked that, because there were some semesters where I would try and fit all 5 of my classes into one day just to kind of get them over with. But that day really exhausted me. So just having everything spread out is great, because once you get to college, you realize you have a lot of time on your hands. And so just spreading it out, having a consistent schedule is definitely some advice that I would give to you. I meet up with friends for lunch or just grab some lunch on my own. I do some Zoom calls or phone calls for work. And then the end of the day is, if it's a busy day, finishing up some homework and, getting some studying done. Or maybe it's just making dinner, seeing friends. That's kind of like my typical day at college. But like I said, every day is different and throws curveballs. And so you've got to be prepared. Third question was actually asked a couple of times by people who don't go to UMass Amherst. And that is, does the number one UMass dining live up to the hype? If you guys don't know this, it's kind of crazy because it's the one thing that UMass loves to flex, but UMass Amherst is number one dining. I would say yes, it lives up to the hype. I wouldn't say it's like gourmet meals, but I've been to go and visit some of my other friends at their colleges, and it definitely tops those 100%. Everything, for starters, is labeled in so much detail, which I really appreciate because if you don't know this, I have some allergies, gluten, dairy, this, that. And so just knowing what I'm eating is something I really appreciate. I've gone to visit friends and it's just kind of like a plate of mush and you don't even know what it is. So having a title and some nutrition facts is very helpful for me personally. Just beyond that, the food is actually really good, I would say. We have just your typical dining hall, but then we also have a lot of cafes on campus, and we have one dining hall called Blue Wall, which is more of like a bougie version of your dining hall. And just the typical dining hall food, I would say, is pretty good. So all of the other top-notch stuff just is awesome. Some of my personal favorites, definitely the sushi. It's not like amazing, but just being able to get sushi at school, watch them roll it up for you, put whatever you want in it, I think is so cool. Coming out from high school where they would just serve you your typical high school lunch, being able to order sushi is pretty nice. Another one of my favorites, considering the dairy allergy, is the fact that they have a Oatly soft serve. They have all sorts of soft serve machines, which is pretty cool already, but the Oatly soft serve is honestly really good. When I used to live in the dorms, it was like right next to me, and that was really dangerous because I would go and get it every single night. So haven't had it much this semester, but it's definitely one of my favorites as well. And then if I'm going to one of the nicer dining halls, I love Blue Wall. I love to go to Greenfields, and they have this power salad. I honestly think I've mentioned it on the podcast before because it's amazing. I think the salad is so good. Those are just some of my favorites. But honestly, you can get anything at UMass Dining. You can get Mexican, you can get Italian. They have so many themed, like cultural fun nights that they do fun foods at as well. So I do believe that UMass Dining does live up to the hype. The next question is, what are some of your favorite spots both on and off campus to go to? When I think about on campus, I'm going to lean towards like study spots. One of my favorites is definitely the conservatory on campus. It's literally like an indoor heated garden. I am the type of girl who really dislikes the cold, especially when it gets really cold in the wintertime. Being able to go in there and it be nice and warmed up and just get some work done. There's like a whole entire pond and there's like fish that swim in there and flowers, and it's just beautiful. Honestly, it's crazy that it's on campus and it's pretty hidden. So if you haven't been there, definitely go and check it out and find it. Another cool study spot is on top of our studio arts building. There's a little rooftop. There's like lights that are hung in there, little tables that you can study, or you can grab lunch and you can go up there. I think the rooftop is awesome. So that's just another little getaway. And then one spot that I would say is good for both study and food that I've come to go to a lot this semester in particular is Whitmore Cafe. It's right outside the business school. It has a lot of cool nature, and you can kind of sit like in an outside-inside area in there, which is really quiet all the time and nice for studying. But then right next to it is the cafe itself. So you can grab a salad. You can get the salads from Greenfields. You can get a wrap, whatever you want really, but it's just awesome to have a nice little cafe, an awesome place to study as well, right by the business school, because this semester all of my classes are in that same building, so just really nice to have that nearby. As for off campus, I have come to really appreciate a lot of the places off campus because, like I said, I used to feel really stuck on campus and I didn't really get to explore a lot because I didn't have my own car up until this year. Definitely done some more exploring, and there are a ton of places I love, whether that be for food or for study. For starters, I recently went to a place called Shelburne Falls. It's a little coffee shop, and it was when my mom came to visit me a couple weeks ago. We were just looking for some good coffee on a rainy day, but it ended up being amazing. It was a local, probably small business. In comparison to all the chain coffee shops out there, I definitely appreciate something like that more. It was just such a cozy and fall vibe when we went in there. I got a pumpkin spice latte, and I will say a million times over, that was the best pumpkin spice latte I've ever drank in my life. And I never used to be big into coffee, but this summer, working an internship, being extremely tired, I definitely adapted a love for coffee. They had so many other options there. They had breakfast sandwiches, baked goods. Another place I really love for coffee or a quick snack is Share in our downtown. They also have good lattes, good breakfast sandwiches, all that good stuff. But what I like most about Share Roasters is the aesthetic for sure. It's all nice and white in there, and it's just a great place to even get some work done. Two other spots I'll mention downtown. The Humble Peach, because they have really awesome gluten-free and dairy-free desserts for me. I just saw that they have apple cider donuts there right now, and so I'll be getting one when I go back. And then definitely the Works Cafe has been my go-to since freshman year. You can really get anything there, but the quinoa bowls are so good. Another place I've been absolutely living at is Trader Joe's. I kid you not, I haven't even stepped into another grocery store. Like no Stop and Shops, even though there's one steps away. Just Trader Joe's for everything. I just love it. I've gone in there every single day, I think, because it's right next to the gym that I work out at. And so it's really tempting every time I go there. I just love it, especially when you're in college and you just want a quick meal after a long day or when you have a lot of homework. They have honestly the best stuff, whether that be frozen meals or just pre-cooked things. All of it's really simple and it's delicious and healthy and cheap. You'd expect it to be expensive there, but you can get so much for your buck. And so I absolutely love Trader Joe's, and I've been there pretty much every day of the semester. And the final place that I would mention is kind of a little bit further away, Northampton. I love going there. I went there recently, and it's just a great place if you want to get off campus and get a little bit further away to go shopping, grab some lunch, just explore the area outside of Amherst. That's definitely a suggestion I would make as well. All right, stepping away from favorite places and opinions on things, the next question is, how do you manage to stay positive when you're feeling really overwhelmed in college? That is a very good question because sometimes I do get really overwhelmed. And like I said, I'm the type to overload my plate at times. And the solution isn't always just trying to power through it. That honestly can hurt you a lot more in the long run because when you're burnt out, you're not going to produce your best results. I could be so extremely committed to trying to study for a test, but it could be hours later and I'm still going at it. And at that point, nothing is registering in my brain. So it's really just a big fat waste of time for me. My advice is to step away from whatever is overwhelming you and just take a pause. It's okay to pause. And I don't mean don't study for your test or don't do your homework. I mean just step away for a moment and do something that's going to help you clear your head. For me, that can be honestly going to the gym. Getting a good workout in when I'm feeling really overwhelmed is such a game changer. And if that feels like a lot for you, even just going on a walk. Sometimes I'll be cooped up in my room for a really long time doing homework, and just taking a step away, going for a walk, getting fresh air is just the perfect thing. It's all I needed to just get back on track. Or maybe just go and treat yourself. Little treats are okay. Go to some of those places I just mentioned, get yourself a little coffee, a little treat, take a breather, or simply just go for a drive. Play your favorite music, play something that makes you happy. But continuing to overwhelm yourself is not going to solve the problem. So in my opinion, the solution is just stepping away for a moment and doing whatever it is that will help you clear your head. The next question is, how do you stay engaged and focused in class? I will say the transition from high school to college can be really difficult, going from a small classroom where your teachers all know you, you know everyone, and it's really easy to engage, transitioning into a big lecture room with hundreds of students. The professor's never going to even know your name, which is a hard reality. And just trying to focus in that environment is really tough. My advice is, for starters, eliminate distractions like your phone. I find myself a lot of the times just picking up my phone because I feel really overwhelmed in a big lecture room, and that alone just distracts me. I don't even end up listening to a single thing that was said in the lecture, and then it was just a big waste of time. So try as best as possible to eliminate those distractions. Another thing that I'm not the best at is trying to sit up front in the class. It can be a little intimidating sitting up front of a lecture, but it honestly will help out a ton. It's really, really hard to focus when you're sitting all the way in the back row and you're looking at all these people's screens and they're playing games. Try to sit at least a little bit closer to the front. And then finally, take notes. Try to just engage. Sometimes I honestly don't even know what the professor's talking about, but still taking notes on it just helps me figure it out in my own head. You can color code the notes, make it fun for yourself, whatever it may be, but engaging in some way is going to help you stay focused. The next question, what are your go-to study tips? This is going to sound funny, and honestly, maybe it won't sound funny. Maybe some of you do this, but I need to listen to instrumental music when I'm studying. I don't know why, but if I'm listening to anything that has someone singing in it, I start, singing the lyrics in my head. If I'm listening to even just some upbeat music without any words, that still is just very distracting for me. So I always go right onto Spotify and I literally search instrumental music, instrumental study music. It just plays a nice mellow soundtrack for me, and I just go into this zone and I'm just on a roll with studying. So I cannot study in silence either. I need to have just a little bit of background music, but something that's not overpowering. Going along with that, you're going to want to eliminate a chaotic setting. I mean, everyone's study preferences are definitely different. But for me, I don't like to be in a room with a lot of people, like I've mentioned earlier. I just think that's very distracting for me. I also don't like to be completely alone. So being in a study setting, but not somewhere where there's a lot of noise and talking, just a nice study space is what helps me out the best. But also don't trap yourself in your room. It can get very overwhelming, like I talked about before, when you're sitting in your room for hours and studying and feeling like you really just need a breather. So try your best to study in a nice setting, but also not to trap yourself in your room. As for study tools, growing up in high school, I used Quizlet all the time. And if I really still need to memorize flashcards for any sort of classes, I'm always using Quizlet. I found that in college, there's a lot more opportunity for creating your own cheat sheets and study guides. And so I haven't had to use Quizlet as much, but that was my go-to in high school. And everyone actually knew me for creating all the Quizlets for every quiz and test, and they would just use mine. So you're welcome for that. But it honestly is a really helpful study tool. Something that I found myself using more so in college are tutors and TAs and office hours. It's not silly to go to a tutor. I feel like that is a misconception and something that people have come to believe. But it's honestly really helpful in college. So take advantage of office hours and TAs and ask them questions. Because like I mentioned, in a big lecture hall, there's no space for you to ask questions or to get to know your professors. So just having a TA or a smaller space to be able to ask those questions and get a better understanding has been so helpful for me in college. So don't be afraid to use those resources. The next question, it's like someone knows me too well. Do you ever experience FOMO at college? And if so, how do you deal with that? I used to have the absolute worst FOMO my freshman year specifically. I went out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, every single night. I had to be there for the plans. I just didn't want to miss out. I had a real fear of missing out. There was even one time where I had to go home for something, and I drove home and I drove back to school the next day to be at a party, and it was just really, really draining. And yes, I still do overload my plate at times as I drove here today to film this, but I would say it's not out of a fear of missing out on things. It's more so just my love of being productive. I think how I've overcome the FOMO is honestly just maturing, kind of realizing that you don't have to be at everything. Things have also gotten a little repetitive, so more so appreciating sometimes a night in. Just knowing that you don't have to go out every single weekend. Don't get me wrong, you're young right now, and this is the time where you should be having the absolute most fun time of your life. Don't miss out on fun things. But if it's harming you health-wise and making you feel extremely burnt out, that's when you have to take a step back. When I used to have FOMO and needed to do everything and went out all the time, I really did burn myself out. I actually was sick all the time at school, had the zoo flu is what we call it. And I just feel like I was really, really pushing myself too hard. And so trust your instincts, know when it's best to stay in, know when you're ready for a night out. And that is honestly the best way to deal with FOMO. Know that you don't have to be at everything. Question number 9 is, how do you find yourself getting involved at UMass and in college? One way that I've tried to get involved is joining clubs. Like I mentioned, UMass has everything. They have clubs for everyone. They have like a pickleball club or anything that you could think of. If they don't have it, you can start the club. I can't say that I've joined any clubs that are anything out of the ordinary. I'm more so in the business clubs at school. So I'm in a women in business club, a smart women securities club. And those have just made the business school feel like a smaller community, get to know people a little bit more. And I've also been able to take upon some leadership opportunities in those clubs. So it's been a really good way for me to get involved. And that was something I started my freshman year. And so I would advise, if you're heading into college, to definitely look into clubs. I would say I looked into some dance opportunities because I was a dancer in the past, like I've mentioned on here. And so I'll attend some dance classes to get involved as well. But really just looking into the things you're interested in, seeing if they offer it at your college, is definitely a really great way to get more involved. Another way is just keeping up with events that are happening at your school. I swear there's like a new event every single hour that's going on at UMass. There's so many things that not a lot of people even know are being planned and going on. And so trying to keep up with those. For instance, this fall, every single Friday at UMass Amherst, they have a farmer's market, which I think is so cool. And so attending something like that, getting to see the student-owned businesses. And another event that you can keep up with are guest speakers. Maybe someone's going to come onto campus and talk about something that you're really passionate about. Just making sure to check in on those events, see what's happening on campus, and involve yourself with them. Like I said, it really flies by, so just make the most of your time at college. You have so many resources, events, everything available to you, so just take advantage of it, have fun, enjoy it to the fullest. I saved this final question for last because I think it's a really good one to end off with, and that is, what is something that you would go back and tell your freshman year self? Obviously, we're only halfway there, a little bit more than halfway, and so there's still a lot of learning to do. But just in my first 2 years, I have learned a lot, and there are some things that I would go back and tell my freshman year self. And these are things that I'm still working on, but things that I didn't realize before. The first major thing is that you have plenty of time to figure out your career and your future. It's something I've spent a lot of my college time stressing out about and still do. It's really true. You have plenty of time. People are still changing their careers and the trajectory of their life right now as adults. So just knowing that you're not going to be stuck in whatever career you choose in college, knowing that you have time to figure it out. The internship that you're doing your junior year isn't the end all decision for you. Just knowing you have time. Don't spend all your college time that you don't have a lot of worrying about what your career is going to be and what your future is going to look like. And that's something I'm really still working on, but still trying to tell myself, and do wish I could tell my freshman year self. And finally, I would tell my freshman year self that when they say that college flies by faster than high school does, they are not lying. I cannot believe that I'm a junior. I can't believe that I'm going abroad in a couple of months. This is something that I've been dreaming about ever since high school, and it's around the corner, and sooner than later graduation's going to be around the corner, and that's really scary. So really just enjoy every moment. Like I've been saying throughout this entire episode, it absolutely flies by. So if you're just starting college right now, just know that it's going to go by fast, and just make the most of it. My biggest word of advice from this episode would just be, take it a day at a time, live in the moment, and really enjoy these 4 years of your life. Allow yourself to survive and thrive through college, because that is all up to you. So thank you guys for watching, and I just want to thank everyone who's continued to support me from my very first episode. I love to see it. If you have any specific questions for college advice or really anything at all, feel free to reach out to me personally. I'm happy to share more tips with you guys, but I hope that those really summed up a couple of things you guys were asking. Keep leaving suggestions. I love to create these episodes for you guys, so I appreciate all the suggestions I can get. Thank you so much, guys. Bye.